You're listening to Happy Healthy Hormones with Dr. Chris. Are you tired of the short-term patch to your health problems? Is avoiding medications and surgeries important to you? If you answered yes, then your prayers have been answered. Dr. Chris has been helping people transform their health for over a decade. He's a world-renowned health expert who specializes in holistic health. He's a professional speaker, chiropractor, and international best-selling author. It's his mission to help you reach your full God-given potential through holistic health and healing. Get ready to be inspired and transformed. Here's your host, Dr. Chris.
Hey there, everyone. You're listening to the show where disease takes a dive and people come to thrive. Today, I want to talk to you about one of the number one causes that creates our own health to take a dive. In fact, this affects virtually every single American to different degrees. But at the end of the day, it's what's responsible for the vast majority of disease, especially chronic disease in our country. When you look at our disease state culture today, it is crazy. In fact, for as much wealth as there is in our country, for as much technology and advancement we have, we should be one of the healthiest countries in the world, but we rank among the worst in health, especially among the industrialized countries. In fact, we even rank below countries like Crete and Croatia for things like infant mortality. And so when you look at these things, we got to really understand, what are we doing to ourselves? Are we really getting to the cause of the problem, or are we just covering up the symptom? So today we're going to be talking about inflammation. So inflammation is something that affects millions of people. It's tough to hide from it, but if you are suffering from things like headaches, fibromyalgia, diabetes, heart disease, ADD, neck pain or back pain, arthritis, digestive problems, then you're dealing with inflammation to some degree, right? It might be the one main cause that's creating all this havoc in your body. However, most never get to the root of the problem. They never address the cause. They just continue to go through their lives covering up the symptoms with medication, shots, pills, whatever lotion it is, and they never address it. And then they just get worse and they get worse, and they end up with these really major diseases, and they wonder, well, where did this come from? It seems like just yesterday I was this young, healthy person, and now I've lost everything. Well, understand what stress and inflammation is. And what inflammation really is it's a side effect, right? You might think of inflammation being the swelling, the redness, the pain, but that's just the effect. That's not the cause. Where does it start? Well, it can start in a lot of different areas. You know, one of the most common areas that you see with disease formation is really starting in the gut, the stomach, the colon, right? Like, because a lot of times people aren't putting healthy food in their body. That's one of the causes of it. But understand this: inflammation is a normal process, and it has good benefits. See, our body never does anything to hurt us. Like when we have inflammation, when we have a cough, when we have a fever, those are good protection mechanisms that our body stimulates and promotes because it's going to help our body in some way. However, we're really quick now with the invention of medication, right, to just squash that symptom, thinking that we're going to be better because we have no symptom, or that we're healthy now because we have no symptom. However, that's just, as we know, just a mask to what's really going on. But you need some level of inflammation in your body to be healthy. You know, when you are in an acute state of an injury, you want that inflammation to come into your body. Maybe it's into an ankle, into a joint, to stabilize that area, to get more blood and nutrients to that area so it can start to heal and begin that healing process. Where it becomes a problem is when it becomes a chronic systemic state. So these are things like diabetes, pancreatitis, right? Inflammation. The itis means it's inflamed. Myocarditis, which is heart disease, right? Shortness of breath, swelling in the legs, lung disease, bronchitis. The itis again, kidneys, nephritis, colitis. The list goes on. But it's just when we give these diagnosis, all it's saying is, okay, it's inflammation of that area, that organ, of that joint, whatever it might be, but it's not allowing us to get any cause. It's not going to get us any closer to getting correction. But what becomes an issue is when that inflammation becomes out of control. And then we start to have some big problems. So where does it begin? A lot of times we talked about it begins in the gut a lot of times with our standard American diet. You know, our gut, it can extend 2 tennis courts in length. I mean, it is huge. The ability for us to transfer nutrients is essential. And when we're stressed, though, our lining becomes permeable. Things get in. This is where you get the term leaky gut, because these things start to get into the bloodstream. They start to create the inflammation. They start to create the immune responses. And we start to have some really big problems with that over time. And it's not something that's going to be cured by a medication. Remember, there's no cure from a medication. There's only things that cover up symptoms. And what the cure comes from within us. It doesn't come from a pill. It doesn't come from an outside source. So what is it that triggers this inflammation? It's important to understand that as well. Well, there's 3 triggers to inflammation. There's the physical, chemical, and emotional stress that we can have in our lives. So what is the physical stress? Well, you think of maybe like accidents you were in. Maybe you stubbed your toe, right? There's a car accident, the sports injuries, the slips and falls, the work injuries. If you sit at a desk, at a computer, right? That's that physical stress. If you have the cell phone text neck, another form of physical stress. But there's also the chemical stress. So we talked about the standard American diet. Preservatives, toxins, things you're putting into your body that you know about, things you're putting on your body that you know about, and then there's the things that you don't know about. These are things in your environment that you're maybe getting exposed to in your workplace, in your commute, in your drive, just walking out in the air. And so we have to understand that you can't control all of it, but there's things you can do drastically to minimize and reduce those levels of chemicals. And then there's also the emotional stress. Again, you can't run from emotional stress, but you can change how you perceive it, and whether that's going to create an emotional havoc in your life or it's going to create an emotional high in your life. But as we start to just have, chronic stress, emotional, chemical, physical, maybe it's all just one of those stressors, maybe it's a little bit of each one, it starts to create more and more problems in our body until eventually our body just can't adapt to the stress anymore. It's just like on overload, right? You ever felt that? Like you just can't take it anymore? Your kids are screaming at you, the dog's barking at you, your spouse is telling you to do something, your boss is upset with you, you got to deal with the neighbors, and like you just can't take it anymore? Well, that's what your body does. And then when it finally does, it starts to affect the organs, it starts to affect the muscles, the nervous system, the ligaments, really any tissue of the body. But that's really where the underlying cause of 90% of all chronic disease comes from, is that underlying inflammation. Now, it's harmful because we don't feel it until our body comes from 100% function down to 60% function. Because if you've ever listened to me before, you know that what real health is 100% function, right? Physically, chemically, and emotionally. So when we're at 100% function, life is good. When we're at 90% function, our life could still be good. 80, still maybe doing okay. 70, still maybe no problems at all. But it's not until your body gets down to about 60% function that you start to have the symptoms. And you can have it for years before it shows up. And when it does show up, maybe it shows up for the first time as a heart disease, as a heart attack, or maybe it shows up as diabetes or neck pain or migraines. And the fact is, it just continues to progress in other areas of our body. One of those things being allergies, right? So why is it that one person gets symptoms, but the other person next door doesn't get symptoms, but they're exposed to the same pollens at the same time of the year, the same neighborhood? Why is it that one person is being affected and one isn't? If it was just pollen that was creating that inflammation, then everybody would have allergies. And if you get allergies, it's simple. Your body is at an unequilibrium state, meaning your body is already more inflamed because of other underlying processes in your body. And so when you get exposed to another inflammatory response, like maybe an allergen, a pollen, whatever it might be, you're at that tipping point already, and you start to have those symptoms versus the other person, lower threshold. Maybe their inflammation might go up a little bit, but it's not going to create that symptom, right? So let's understand, like, this is not normal to just get allergies. It's not normal to just have headaches all the time. It's not normal to have pain all the time in your body. Where is that coming from? Then we look at arthritis too. So inflammation is really what creates the arthritis, right? Arthritis is just a side effect of inflammation being in our body for a long period of time. So where does it usually affect the most? Well, I mean, we think about the hands and the fingers, people with arthritis that are older, but arthritis affects people that are young too. And it's not just an age-related disease. I see people that are in their 90s that have virtually no arthritis at all. And then I see people that are in their teens and young adults, and they have more arthritis than most 80-year-olds. And you say, well, what's going on with that? Is it not age? What is it? Is it a normal aging process? No, it's just about what our experiences are we've had in our life, what different type of stresses we've had throughout, what experiences. Have we been in more car accidents? Have we been rougher on our bodies? Have we put poor things in our systems? Versus the person who doesn't have that chronic arthritis is a person who probably hasn't been exposed to a lot of trauma in their life. They haven't had a lot of physical, chemical, or emotional stress. Now, a lot of times where the arthritis affects the most and creates the most heartache is really in the spine, the neck, the mid-back, the lower back. It controls every function in your body, and this can cause failure of organs, numbness and tingling, muscle dysfunction, the carpal tunnel. It's about the inflammation in the nerve, not usually the tunnel itself, right? So do you have inflammation? Do you have that inflammation response right now? If you do, what are you doing to get to the cause of it? And if you're taking medications or the treatments, you're not really getting to the cause. You're just taking your chances that it'll maybe go away. And I don't want you to get to that point where you're not able to enjoy your family and everything else. But one of the most common areas I see today is really in toxicity, right? It's all about the toxins. You get toxins in and out. It affects your energy levels, affects the nutrients of the cell, it affects the hormones your body's producing. We have billions of cells, but if they are chronically attacked by toxicity, it creates inflammation, which now our body can't control what gets in and out of our cells. It starts to create toxicity at a cellular level, and basically our cells can't get the toxins out as quickly as they're coming in, and this can even start at birth. I see children being affected by this. In fact, there was a study that showed the average child in America has like 180 to 200 toxins already in their body at birth. So you're growing up like this. You're tipping the stress bucket at birth, and it becomes a silent killer. And there's only one way to really understand and get a solution to that, and it's number one, getting the toxins out. But you've got to do the right type of things. You got to do testing to make sure you're getting the toxicity out of your body. You've got to make sure that, or to identify it and get it out. But you've got to do things to build your immune system back up to help fight against that inflammatory response. Starts with the GI system, good foods, repairing that through different herbs and things like apple cider vinegar to restore that GI system, and the huge link between the gut and the nervous system, right? Your nervous system is the power that controls and regulates every function in your body, and whether or not inflammatory responses occur or there's a right reaction to that. But if you just keep covering that up or suppressing that, you're going to have some big problems as well. So everything we do lifestyle-wise should be to help support our nervous system, right? And then when we can get that nervous system and start to rebuild that foundation, now things like the inflammation start to go away. Now the pain starts to subside. Now we can start to get more function back into our bodies, and we can start to do more of the things we love. And that's what this show is all about, is about being able to get you back to doing the things you love at the level that you want to be able to accomplish things at. So remember, your body needs no help healing, just no interference.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please help more people in reaching their fullest potential, and rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. For show notes and other free resources we mentioned today, go to newedgewellness.com.